Hey, what's up? This is Big Grime, and today I want to talk about how you can sample and keep 100% ownership. In this new world of artificial intelligence, it's becoming increasingly risky to sample. Even when using loop packs that are royalty free, if I use the same loop that you do, who's the original user? So honestly, I've really never been a fan of loops or loop packs or loop CDs. Have I ever used them? Sure I have, but I've used it very small percent of the time. I usually always took pride in creating my own music. Now I own a lot of records. I used to sample from vinyl records in a way that's a little bit different from most people. Most people will sample phrases or loops or bars, where I was more so sampling for source material. So I might sample a horn that a player played, like held a note, and then I would sample it and then play it myself. Even though the sound came from the vinyl, I still played it and made it my own. With this new technology, and as it gets better, it's going to be increasingly hard to do that because it'll be able to detect where you got the sound from, even though you are playing it. Because the last thing I want to do is have to deal with someone if I make a track and it's a hit record and this is like, wow, this is amazing, and then next thing you know, you get hit with lawsuits because you use a sample. Here are a few different techniques I use to sample, and you won't have to go through any of those issues. Number one, sample your old work. Now, if you've been making music as long as I have, my first CD that I made that was totally like in my studio was back in 2001. Is where I started really like creating my own stuff and my own setup. So I have a lot of songs and instrumentals and things I've done over the years. They were great ideas, but they were poorly executed, or I just didn't have the right equipment or the knowledge to really execute it the way it's supposed to. So now I can actually go back and sample those things and bring it to life. Some tracks I even forgot about, so it's almost like I feel like I'm sampling from a source that I've never heard before. A side note, that's the reason why you shouldn't really throw away any track, even if you feel like it's trash. Another method I use is create music in the style that you like to sample from. So if you like to sample from jazz, once you create some jazz instrumentals and then sample those. And I'm not even saying you have to like make complete like jazz songs, but you can do jazz type loops and stuff. Just really study jazz, listen to different records, and study what are the reasons why you like these records, and then try to kind of not recreate that song, but in your own style, just in a jazz style. I know if you're not musically inclined, that can be a learning curve, but that's something you should definitely strive for because, again, that gives you 100% royalties over your samples. Hire a session player. Now, this can be a little more expensive, hiring someone to actually play something, but really, I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's really what producing is. Yeah, you playing stuff and organizing everything is producing, but actually to hire, let's say, a guitar player or someone who plays the saxophone or the flute, instruments that you don't play, but you would normally sample, you have someone who can play and you can tell them what you want and be able to sample from that. I mean, you could just have jam sessions where they come in, you hire them for an hour or two, and just have them play different things, record it, and then you can sample it later. Record yourself just playing around. I'm talking like just I mean, you don't even have to like try to sound good. You're just trying to make sounds. You might kind of try to make something sound good, but like you're just doodling and just messing with knobs and changing the sounds and just doing crazy stuff, because really all you're trying to do is to get something different weird and unique to sample. Some of the best inventions in this world have been created off of accidents. So hit the record button and just start playing. Just start playing stuff. Start going through sounds. Start making sounds and just explore, because you will stumble across something even if you don't hear it at the time. When you go back to listen, you'll be like, oh man, I did that. Field recording. Especially if you live like in a city, you can just go down the street and just have your recorder and just record different things. You'd be surprised at the type of tones and textures and things that you can get just by recording outside. You might hear something and snag that and play it, and it sounds unique because it's just something that's out in the world. Music is everywhere. So field recording is definitely a unique way to get different sounds. Okay, recording or sampling from cassette tape, specifically the recordable tapes. And see how this kind of looks dirty? I mean, long as it's not trash, but I find that the most interesting ones are the ones that doesn't look very good. People record some of the most weirdest things, and the algorithm is not going to pick this up. They don't know what this is. You can find the most interesting things on cassette tapes and reel-to-reel tapes that you just can't find anywhere. And I would say this is probably the biggest sauce right here, because you find things from across seas, you find things from I can't even stress how great the things you can find off of recordable cassette tapes. And people literally will almost give these things away because they don't think anybody wants these. I mean, people will straight up ask me, well, what are you going to do with these? Like, it doesn't even register in their brain that people still want recordable tapes. With a combination of one or more of these techniques, you'll find some of the greatest sounds you ever will hear.